Our story begins with our protagonist already at his lowest, falsely accused of colluding with demons and sentenced to death by guillotine. On the guillotine, the condemned man makes a desperate wish. If I had another chance at life. Fueled by resolve, he vows never to be used and discarded like a hunting dog. An ominous, shadowy, dog-like entity with glowing red eyes appears. Suddenly, the scene shifts. Red liquid drops fall, followed by a baby crying in a dark, confined space. Among crying infants, one red-eyed baby is disoriented, wondering, HUH, where am I? Disoriented by noise and heavy feeling, the red-eyed baby is shocked, wondering if they've woken in hell. Instead of hell, the baby's disoriented senses register the imposing grand mansion of the Baskerville clan, where the mournful cries of many infants rise and fall like an unsettling chorus. The noise comes from a room of crying babies. Hugo the Baskerville, head of clan, glares furiously, calling them damn lowly things. A woman and man check cribs, dismissing infants as trash. But then, the man pauses, a curiosum, escaping him. He spotted the red-eyed baby, noting it's a slightly less noisy piece of trash. Something noteworthy. All babies are ordered to the Cradle of Swords. The older red-eyed child remembers his false execution, focusing on revenge against the culprit. A voice exclaims, Hugo Lou Baskerville, identifying a crucial figure, perhaps triggered by the young baby's appearance. The revelation hits. The baby is Bichir Van Baskerville, regressed to a newborn. Bichir narrates his past as a hunting hound, brutally trained. As a hunting hound, Bichir relentlessly stands atop a gruesome mountain of bones and corpses, a chilling monument to the brutal war and his unyielding, yet unrewarded, loyalty. Bichir's only desire was acknowledgement from Hugo and his clan after a decade-long demon war. Despite loyalty, he was met with, instead of reward, Bichir faced a bitter truth, discarding the useless, the reason for his execution. Bichir was executed for knowing too much, fulfilling the proverb, kill the dog after the hunt is over. Now, a baby, he burns with vengeance, vowing not to live that pathetic life again. The Cradle of Swords is his chance to grow strong and make them pay. Newborns in the Baskerville clan face a trial, crawling through a sword labyrinth to the legendary river Styx. It strengthens bodies like steel. Only limited babies get the Styx's effect. Bichir knows he must be first, planning to cut a straight line through sword walls. In his past life, Bichir failed this trial, pushed aside by siblings, never gaining the Styx's effect. Now, injured with red eyes, he's emotional. Bichir vows things will be different. Meanwhile, men watch huge energy burst from a chasm surrounded by broken swords. Bichir vows to monopolize the Styx River's blessing for as long as possible, sharing it with no one. Submerged, Bichir feels the river seep into wounds, physically changing his bones. He realizes the difference a good start makes, missing it before. The young master, writhing in pain in blue liquid, is determined to endure. Concerned men watch, warning he'll die if he stays. A sinister man laughs, unbothered by the young master's struggle. He asks Barrymore how long. Barrymore replies, about 7 minutes, sir. The sinister man notes 7 minutes, commenting, he might die. Barrymore is John Barrymore, head butler. Tension grows. Underwater, the young master hears Hugo's voice call him, my son, come on up now. Recognizing the sinister man, he defiantly thinks, as if I'd come up that easily. The young master actively absorbs blue liquid, determined to take as much as possible, despite pained cries. Despite immense pain, he forces himself, repeating, I need to endure it. Endure. As bubbles escape, his success uncertain. The wet individual is dragged out by foot, dripping. The smirking dark-haired man says, would you look at him? The smirking man explains the individual plunged into river Styx, drank it, and grew teeth. A shocked man asks for the child's name. The man reveals the individual is young Master Bichir Van Baskerville. The red-eyed man looks intently, repeating Bichir. It appears that the thought finishes. Greedy son has been born. Bichir is shown in agony. A warning. Smile while you still can, Hugo. With glowing red eyes, Bichir vows to sharpen his fangs. When time comes for his master's head, Baskerville will fade from history. Bichir Van Baskerville, a name that will shake the very foundations of the Baskerville clan. And this, from the depths of shadow, a formidable presence emerges, its piercing red eyes burning with a promise of retribution. In his past life, he spent 20s on missions. By 29, his swordsmanship stagnated. At 30, the demon world invaded. He fought 5 years, killing demons until humanity won at 39. At 40, he expected rewards as the clan's hunting dog. With a deafening clang, his vengeful spirit materializes from the swirling crimson, eyes burning bright as the realization of betrayal ignites his fury. Yet his furious, burning spirit now awakens within a helpless infant body, crimson eyes widening with a bewildering realization of this unexpected rebirth. But those rewards never came. He finds himself a baby in a nursery, the same one from after his rebirth. It all clicks. After absorbing river Styx, Bichir confirms success, a crucial head start. A baby, his past life memories sharp, he focuses on power for revenge. Before processing his advantage, Bichir hears a servant grumble about the madam placing something in his cradle. He scoffs. No madam would gift an illegitimate child like him. He doesn't wonder long. The glowing chest opens, releasing dark, smoky energy instead of gift. From the smoke emerge 2 huge, aggressive snakes with glowing red eyes. Bichir recognizes them as bloody mambas, rare and poisonous. He realizes this is an assassination attempt using deadly snakes. Bichir suspects a Baskerville madam is eliminating him to reduce competition for her child. It's not just him in danger. Bichir realizes these bloody mambas could massacre other innocent nursery children. Bichir, from River Styx blessing, manifests intense power. His eyes glow red, snake-like constructs form around his fists, tearing into something. He looks menacing, showing immediate effects. He roars, "I'll end you with my own 2 hands," as a huge red, scaly snake-like form appears. Bichir declares, "As expected of Baskerville." Dark splatters on a bed. The gruesome event is a mystery. Scene cuts to the next day. Next morning, Baskerville residents are horrified. A sleeping child is surrounded by dead snakes, blood on his mouth. Adults are terrified. Night watch nannies tortured, executed. Snake corpses remain a mystery. Only one young hunting dog saw truth, shown by a mysterious slit, red eye. That mysterious hunting dog knew the truth. 8 years later, we jump to young men in uniform. In class, a teacher explains swordsman stages, crucial for strength. Teacher explains, sword beginner can't get mana. Sword expert can. Mana as aura makes a sword graduate. Ultimate stage, sword master, where aura solidifies and changes shape at will. Students are shocked Hugo Van Baskerville is one. Bichir, lost in thought, is determined to regain past life strength before his coming of age. He relies on his body, strengthened by 7 minutes in the river Styx. An attendant notes Bichir's incredible mind. Bichir, however, calculates years until he kills Hugo. Bichir Van Baskerville is now 8, and watching from a distance, 3 smiling, light-haired, red-eyed figures take notice of him. Flash forward. Young Bichir is confronted by men. They call him trash half and illegitimate heir, pushing him and mentioning a rumor. The men needle him, asking about his 7 minutes in the river Styx and killing snakes in his cradle. Bichir knows them. Shadowy figures with red eyes appear. Bichir reveals these are the guys who falsely accused and stabbed him in his past life. He identifies them as Hugo Van Baskerville's trident. High bro, mid bro, low bro, all 9 and identical, appear with red eyes, yelling cut out her bluffs. Brothers make their dislike clear. Bichir realizes they'll be formidable enemies in 10 years. He considers weeding them out now, drawing a dagger. Low bro, knife in hand, taunts another. He notes long river Styx exposure makes a body like steel, asking if the boy wouldn't die if stabbed. Blonde boy covers dark-haired boy's mouth. A voice yells, "I got it." Blonde boy challenges if he survived 7 minutes in Styx, betting his hand he couldn't survive 3. The red-eyed boy observes brutality and plays along. 2 boys scoff at a fake legend. Disbelief cracks after 1 minute, seeing him hold strong. It gets crazier. Boys are stunned by the red-eyed boy's resilience. After 3, then 10 minutes, their faces contort in terror. It was real. They gasp. The legend was true. Things turn brutal. One boy holds another down, hand clamped over his mouth. Observers demand release, but a crunch fills the air as the restraining boy holds fast. Blonde-haired boy screams. A dark hand grips his head. Victim screams. Dark-haired boy is surrounded by 3 blondes. A shocked character exclaims, "What are you doing?" In the middle of chaos, a character asks, "Why?" The red-eyed boy, bloodied, questions, "Didn't you say you'd eat your hand?" Despite shock, blondes claim they are not scared. It doesn't help. Despite bravado, blonde boys are terrified. One screams, "My finger got cut off." The other 2 look on. After the river Styx blessing, chaos continues. Injured blonde boys want a priest. Brown-haired senior steps in, demanding to know who permitted their leave. Angered, the blonde calls him a bastard, prepares to attack, eyes flashing red. Senior isn't fazed. He stands over the crying blonde boy, reminding him they're a year older. As Senior thinks he's in control, Bichir steps in. His eyes glow red. Fangs appear. He tells the elder brother he's forgotten Baskerville's rules. Only strength and talent matter. He declares the game has begun. Bichir, with glowing red eyes and fangs, menacingly tells a terrified highbrow, "Let's keep playing," confirming sinister rumors. Bichir brutally punches Highbrow's face, drawing blood. Highbrow collapses, screaming. His 2 blonde companions are shocked. One's eyes glow red with rage. Bichir strikes another opponent, who squeals. He mockingly tells them, "Don't be scared." With 2 opponents down, Bichir warns their injuries are treatable, but he won't allow them to leave. Without treatment, they'll be handicapped. Bichir, holding a knife, smirks at Hugo's trident. He offers to let one go, then immediately injures 2 blonde brothers, leaving them screaming and bleeding. A dagger lies on the ground. Bichir tells the blonde brothers to decide who lives, warning he won't wait. 2 remain bloody and scared. Bichir, with a sinister smile, watches from a door, reminding them, "At least one of you should live." No? The 3 Trine brothers are shocked, 2 bleeding. Hugo's Baskerville's trident crumbles. Bichir stands confidently, having broken them, leaving the 3 brothers shocked and defeated, 2 bleeding. Sunlight now pierces through elegant windows, marking the passage of time as the consequences of past clashes quietly reshape the clan's future. Head Butler John Barrymore reports to the clan head about another clash at the Ruby Mine, now claimed by the Moore clan. John reports to a senior Baskerville that the Moore clan will discuss the Ruby Mine. Meanwhile, Bichir took first in the Children's Castle written exams. John informs Hugo Loop Baskerville practical exams are 5 days away. All Guardian Knights are preparing, leaving Children's Castle empty. Hugo seems interested. John shares news of a major fight among Children's Castle young masters, surprising Hugo. Hugo asks how many died. John confirms no deaths, but lists serious injuries. Highbrow lost teeth, Midbrow's jaw is sunken, and Lowbrow lost his left index finger. John adds the brothers physically recovered, but are mentally scarred. Their attacker, younger brother Bichir, who aced the written exam. Hugo processes the news. His youngest son, Bichir, is brilliant and brutally effective against his older brothers. A smiling young man in a fancy uniform stands in an ornate hallway. Bichir meets Hugo Loop Baskerville and John Barrymore. Hugo asks if Bichir crippled the advanced class triplets. Bichir smoothly replies they received appropriate treatment. Hugo clarifies he means emotional damage. Bichir crippled their hearts. The triplets now eat separately and don't speak. Hugo laments the brothers' once beautiful combination attack is ruined by Bichir's rift. He asks Bichir if he did wrong. Bichir subtly smiles, asking what he could have done. Hugo presses, asking if Bichir wrecked his brothers. Bichir's eyes glow red. He declares his strength, asking how someone so strong could err. Hugo states, "Your brothers came here before you." Hugo emphasizes Bichir's brothers arrived before him and forgave him, asking if Bichir feels no guilt. Bichir responds with a cryptic smile. John watches slyly, the elder brother downcast. The narrator recalls a pre-regression memory. The last child of a Baskerville-destroyed clan became a nun and forgave Hugo. Bichir, with a glowing red eye, declares forgiveness a weak excuse for those unable to seek revenge. Hugo, with intense red eyes, echoes the Baskerville motto, "Strength is justice, and being weak is a sin." He notes Bichir understands this. Hugo orders John Barrymore to let Bichir pick any snacks from the food warehouse. Bichir looks genuinely surprised. The catch, Bichir can only take what he carries. Bichir, in charming child mode, asks for chocolate, thanks Hugo, and leaves smiling with John. Later, Hugo tells Bichir, son, to do well on an upcoming midterm. Bichir gives him an unreadable, focused gaze. Hugo de Baskerville confronte Bichir. With glowing red eyes and a slight smile, Hugo tells Bichir not to lose to anyone in the main house. Bichir's eyes burn with fierce determination. Bichir responds, yes, clan head. The scene shifts to a storage room, where chocolate popular with more clan girls is displayed. A man offers chocolate, but Bichir rejects it, requesting unprocessed, strong bloody beans for 100 liters. He then eats a raw bloody bean, surprising an elderly man. Bichir meticulously fills a small pouch with bloody beans, mindful of the clan head's instruction to only take as much as he can carry, his calculated approach revealing a deeper purpose. With the pouch secured, Bichir turns away from the storage room, already running calculations in his head for the exam ahead. Bichir wasn't interested in chocolates. His bloody beans are connected to a practical exam in 5 days. This chapter predicts a huge, unprecedented incident about to rock the Baskerville clan. Bichir is seen smiling subtly, then menacingly with glowing red eyes, implying, so, we're diving into the Baskerville clan's wild training. Trainees climb mountains for stamina right after learning to walk. No rest outside specific times, and they even sleep next to demonic corpses. They also sleep with baby demonic creatures to toughen up. By 8, young hounds face brutal assessments, earning the clan its berserker nickname. Now, the practical assessment, a survival exam. Une und Getteatment. Le rouge et le noir. A mountain swarming with capture demonic créatures. Their training will be truly tested here. John Barrymore, with a glowing red eye, tells the young masters the assessment is simple. We know what that means. Instructor Pavlov Van Baskerville explains, survive for a month and hunt strong demonic creatures. Simple indeed. Bichir prepares for the exam. Rules: 10 points to save a life, 50 to eliminate another young master, 70 to hunt a demonic creature, 90 for all conditions. Brutal. Each young master gets a badge. Stealing 1 earns bonus points. Die gets 0. A perfect 100 points isn't even possible. Speaker reminds them of Sir Hugo's teachings. Dropping your guard means death. They warn against leaving the restricted area, as MT Le Rouge et Le Noir has dangerous, unexplored zones. They suggest staying in the subjugated zone for safety. Guardian Knights or guide dogs secretly score everyone. Meanwhile, students whisper about Bichir. 7 minutes submerged in the river Styx and supposedly choking 2 venomous snakes in his cradle. Sure enough, Bichir stands in a dark, treed part of Tulle Rouge et Le Noir, thinking it's been a while since he was there. The speaker holds up a golden bell, signaling the assessment start. The young boys gather, ready for the mountain's horrors. The bell rings with a prayer for success. Then a mysterious masked figure, in suit and cape, appears, surrounded by dark, swirling energy. Bichir wastes no time, strategizing to reach an advantageous position for the exam, heading to a spot he remembers from last year. Highbrow, Midbrow, and Lowbrow defy Bichir's orders. 2 other masked figures plot to follow someone and steal points. In a dark forest, an injured person lies near a man with a sword. A system message clarifies the exam doesn't exactly encourage killing. Killing isn't forbidden, just discouraged, leading to point deductions. The fallen man remains, with wolves nearby, as another character watches. A scarred man explains guide dogs likely keep deaths minimal. A hooded figure silently observes. Bichir chills in a deep forest, near uncharted territory. The hooded figure calls him a genius, asking how far he plans to go. Bichir smiles, clearly up to something. An ominous bare tree and dark roots are shown. As an unknown voice wonders, was it around here? Bichir declares this spot good enough for his vacation. The hooded figure, watching him, yells in disbelief, vacation? Bichir's vacation involves gathering firewood, carrying huge sticks, clashing swords with an unknown opponent, and fighting a massive, red-eyed wolf-like beast. It's unclear if this is training, a flashback, or him going all out. 2 blonde individuals duel fiercely with swords, while Bichir chills, resting on the ground. The hooded figure still watches, trying to figure out what's going on. The hooded figure realizes Bichir has only been sleeping, digging, hunting and gathering firewood. He wonders if Bichir is just hiding, oblivious to his real intentions. The hooded figure questions Bichir's rumored genius, given his low profile, thinking no need to watch him if he's just hiding. But Bichir smiles slightly. Elsewhere, unknown characters camp, roasting meat. An off-panel speaker asks if he is gone. Another finds it nostalgic. An advisor suggests cacao beans for gamey smells. But the young boy wasn't hiding. Instead, he unleashes a powerful fire blast, causing a massive explosion. Dialogue mention concentrated Bloodhound. As the fiery explosion subsides, an observer notes their hindrance is gone and preparations are complete. They look at the aftermath, asking, "Shall I begin my hunt?" Days pass. The scene shifts to a large, dark, spiky structure looming over a skull and crossbones marked, fenced-off area. Bichir ventures deeper into the dark, unexplored forest. Most consider it uncharted, but he knows these parts intimately from his scout days. Deep in the mountains, Bichir follows a scorching scent, noticing dead, burnt roots. He figures whatever he's looking for must live right here. He spots burning excrement, immediately recognizing it as belonging to only one type of demonic creature in this area. He comments he got sick of seeing these as a scout in his past life, but now, seeing one again, he's actually happy. The reveal, it's a Hellhound. Système dit-ils à formidable B plus danger créature, trimetétol, Omon, le rouge et le noir. Its bite means certain death, its sulfuric fire and Bichir encounters a Hellhound, a demonic beast he couldn't fight alone until he was 18 in his past life. At only 8 now, a head-on fight is impossible. Unfazed, Bichir knows a method for children to defeat a Hellhound, even as he falls. The Hellhound attacks with a fiery blur. Bichir reacts quickly, revealing this aggressive move ties into the beast's first weakness. The Hellhound can only move in a straight line, struggling with sharp turns, which surprises it. Bichir then reveals its second weakness. Demonic creatures can't cross water, even a small amount. He pours water from his bottle, setting a trap. Facing the Hellhound, Bichir deduces that if it's slowed, its charge will expose a major weakness common to all dog-type monsters. As the Hellhound charges, Bichir notes dog-type monsters fatally open their mouths when running. He then makes a swift move. Bichir lunges, plunging his sword into the Hellhound's open mouth with a fast strike. The monster erupts in flames, collapsing, seemingly defeated. The Hellhound whimpers, injured, a limb still blazing. Bichir seizes down, but not completely out. Bichir explains chocolate is poison to dog-type monsters. The bloody bean he used, powerful enough for 100 liters of chocolate, causes the monster's body to bubble and melt. Bichir observes that even a Hellhound can't beat chocolate. His bloody bean hit its stomach and heart, which the monster's tough ribs were protecting. Bichir quickly identifies the creature's kidneys as its unprotected weak spot. He lands a solid hit, making the B+ danger creature yelp. With red eyes glowing, Bichir wields his weapon intensely as the massive demonic creature, visibly injured, bleeds. Blue energy flows from the injured creature to Bichir. Killing demonic creatures grants experience or karma, strengthening the body. He immediately feels stronger, his short sword lighter. Bichir is confident he'll regain his past strength before adulthood, eager to see Hugo's reaction. Bichir smirks, knowing hunting a B+ danger creature at 8 will secure him first place in the practical exam and a specific reward. Bichir thinks of an object he dreamed of before regressing, its true value unknown in this era, which he plans to monopolize. Then, a voice asks, "Shall we cut off its head?" As Bichir observes, 2 large, fiery monsters suddenly appear, growling. Bichir calmly observes the fiery, dog-like creatures, deducing they were drawn by the defeated monster screams. He taunts them, asking if they're there for revenge. Bichir takes down the first monster, holding its severed head, and defiantly challenges others, boasting more bloody beans. To his surprise, 3 more canine creatures appear. The surrounding Hellhounds are scared, reeling from Bichir's killing intent. Someone wonders how an 8-year-old achieves this, as Hellhounds usually die before submitting, suggesting something else is happening. A massive, dark monster with jagged, glowing purple teeth and energy bursts onto the scene with a terrifying growl. It's a Cerberus. A huge, 3-headed, dog-like monster with glowing purple eyes appears, shocking everyone. Bichir réalise es inunchardement. Le rouge et le noir. He spots an A+ danger Cerberus, which should be on the 7th ridge, not the 1st, wondering what it's doing so close to the base. Looking closer, Bichir sees the Cerberus is bleeding, covered in arrow wounds. Someone was hunting it, making him consider the other side of the mountain. It clicks for Bichir. The barbarian tribe's territory is on the other side. They chase this fatally wounded A+ rank demonic creature here. He sees a golden opportunity, determined to take it down with everything he has. This isn't a bluff. Bichir has secretly hidden his true skills, already a high sword expert. He's mastered the Baskerville 3rd Fang, a level young hounds only dream of as adults. He doesn't hesitate, charging with his sword now glowing with a powerful blue aura, ready for combat. His sword connects with a massive creature, engulfing it in a lightning-like blue energy field. Bichir is giving everything to take down this weakened beast. Bichir is engaged in combat, moving incredibly fast. A large, dark, monstrous entity with glowing purple features appears behind him. Wielding his sword, Bichir is confident he can take down the injured Cerberus, despite its formidable nature. Bichir's efficient, deadly sword techniques, honed from a past life of war against demons, and his river stick strength and body give him reason for confidence. His weapons should be enough to damage the injured Cerberus. But Bichir's attacks aren't having the intended effect, the narration corrects. A system message flashes, a moment's carelessness. Bichir is shocked as his weapon shatters, engulfed by the Cerberus's powerful counterattack. The Cerberus capitalizes on the opening, striking with massive claws and sending Bichir flying, purple energy crackling from its 2 monstrous heads. Bichir screams, falling backward, caught off guard. His uniform rips, red, glowing lines appear, and he coughs, clearly in distress from the injury. The Cerberus is revealed, a colossal 7-meter, A+ danger level monster, Hell's watchdog, the strongest dog-type monster in Oil Hell, residing on Mt. Rouge Et Le Noir's 7th ridge. Bichir screams. A human is getting slammed by a 2-headed creature, screaming in agony as it tears into them. The impact sends them flying, groaning as blood explodes from their mouth, thrown like a rag doll. A chapter title card shows a shadowed character. The character regains consciousness, eyes glowing red, screaming that they lost it. The last thing they saw was the menacing 3-headed creature. Their first thought is agony. Cerberus's attack hit them head-on, their left arm screaming. They wonder if it's still attached. He looks at his arm. It's a bloody mess, but still there. He's shocked he only sustained this much injury, despite Cerberus being wounded. Bichir is a blur, dodging the monster. He wonders if River Styx's effects are letting him keep up. He's taken serious damage. One more direct hit, and he's done. He's in a tight spot, watching monstrous figures loom. Bichir decides to retreat, calling it his 36th stratagem. He heads for the boundary fence, banking on a monster's injury to slow it down. If his pursuers catch him before his prepared place, he's dead. He leaps over the fence, shadowy figures right on his tail. The 2-headed monster lunges aggressively, heads snapping with electrical energy, creating a thundering impact. Bichir keeps sprinting, bleeding badly from shoulder injury, frantically searching, muttering, "Whatever I need has to be right here." Pushing forward, eyes red, a fierce aura surrounds him as he yells, "I've found it. Just a little more." He's manifesting a huge, spectral dog-like entity, crackling with energy and lightning around him. Gritting his teeth, he cries now, "Power erupts." Bichir slams his foot down, his hand twisting into a monstrous, clawed form with multiple dog heads. Then, he's suddenly falling. What happened? As he falls, suspended in the middle of swirling particles, a monstrous entity with sharp teeth roars, its giant clawed foot slamming the ground. "A multitude d'entités chimères." Bichir cries out in pain, still falling. He crashes to the ground, distressed, as the monstrous Cerberus, winged, dark, with glowing eyes, emerges. A mysterious voice welcomes Cerberus to the cradle of swords. Bichir realizes a trap for Hellhounds can be repurposed for Cerberus. He has another trick, spearheads coated with bloody bean extract for poison. It works. The creature reacts, green liquid flying off it. Despite the poison, the high-ranking demon is still a major threat. Bichir notes its resilience. He unleashes a powerful blue energy attack from a staff. The attack connects. The large creature roars as it struck. The demon still rages. Bichir, injured, counts 1, 2. He keeps counting 3, 4, 5, 6. Bichir faces the wounded creature, muttering 7 as it gurgles green liquid. Bichir breathes a relief sigh. Exactly 7 steps. The rumors were true, he states, victorious over the dead creature. The wooden spear was tipped with a bloody mamba's poisoned fang. One bite makes it impossible to walk 7 steps. Bichir, ever the planner, was glad he stashed that fang. Injured, he senses Cerberus's energy fading, confirming all 3 heads are dead. Blue energy swirls around his hand. Cerberus defeated, Bichir plans next moves. He'll transport the body, confident a guardian knight will testify. But first, another crucial task. Cerberus is a gatekeeper, so a dungeon must be nearby. Dungeons hold treasure and powerful creatures, making it his immediate target. Bichir covers himself in Cerberus's muddy scent. With the gatekeeper gone, the dungeon might be empty, and this scent should deter other demons. He tracks, noticing dry dirt, rotten leaves, damp roots, footsteps, and drool. He'll follow these traces to its lair. He finds it. Bichir stands before a dark, red-tinged opening, an archway of dense vegetation, saying, "Found you." He recognizes the dungeon. He'd been here before regressing. It was supposed to be discovered in 10 years and empty. But it's different now. Deeper in the cave, he smells decay, but also mana. He's certain it hasn't been cleared, and it's too deep for light. It's much deeper than expected. With a smirk and glowing red eyes, Bichir is excited for the treasure in this far-from-empty dungeon. Heavy footfalls echo as he pushes deeper into the dark. Bichir moves deeper into the dungeon, eyes intense through the rocky cavern. Deeper in, Bichir sees Ruby Van connecting two red formes mountains, le rouge et le noir. Then a light appears. Light so bright, Bichir covers one eye. This is the dungeon's true interior. Dungeon bright. Bichir figures it's a mana-absorbing contraption channeling into a ruby for light. Bichir walks toward the glowing red crystal, hit with a major surprise. Near the glowing crystal, Bichir finds a bloodied, hacked skeleton. Grabbing nearby paper, he realizes someone was here before him. Kane's paper notes significant time passed, hinting at a concealed true name. Bichir recognizes Baskerville penmanship. The paper warns against repeating mistakes in this ancient dungeon. The story. Kane and Abel first discovered this dungeon. They fought monsters, getting stuck by Kane's ultimate riddle in this chamber. The paper explains the riddle trapped them for 3 agonizing years. Bichir realizes the ultimate riddle is in his chamber, contemplating its meaning in the time past. Bichir finds the ultimate riddle, a massive glowing red crystal etched with, "What entered was once one, but within has become two. Only as one may they leave." He wonders its meaning. Glowing pink, stylized runes on the page remain a mystery. Text: twins, originally one but split, had to become one again for the dungeon's desire. Becoming one meant only one twin could leave. 2 shadowy figures, swords drawn and red eyes glowing, face off, one denying this brutal condition. Truth revealed. The speaker killed their brother after an intense battle. Narrator confirms one person remains, but nothing changed. Despite sacrifice, no outcome, though brothers made one horrifically by a glowing red figure. No reward. Narrator frustrated, murdered brother for nothing. After eternity of regret, they abandoned the cursed place, walking from darkness towards light. Chapter warns descendants. Demonic cave, with a skeleton, only drives greed and offers nothing. Leave immediately. Bichir post-challenges annoyed. No reward after all that. He scoffs about not being a twin, then faces Cain and Abel's riddle. What entered was once one, but within has become two. Only as one may they leave. Bichir, unfazed, believes no dungeon is unraidable. Bichir, his own crimson eyes reflecting the infernal glow, stands before a colossal ruby crystal, pulsating with a dark, fiery essence. As Bichir contemplates the riddle, an unknown character reacts to an upright skeleton, then a reddish skeletal figure. Bichir, smiling, realizes, so that's what it was. The reddish skeletal figure, now fully illuminated by the ruby crystal's infernal glow, tilts its ancient head, its empty eye sockets staring into the void. Its silent, ominous presence holds the chilling key to the dungeon's long-forgotten truth. Bichir explains Cain and Abel, preconceptions blind, miss the dungeon's obvious answer. Holding the red gem, he reveals the solution. Enter dark, 1. Step into light, gem shadow makes 2. To become 1 and unlock, eliminate the light, his shadow. The red crystal cracks. The now cracking ruby crystal flares with an infernal glow, unleashing a dense, crimson mist that churns and rises from the structure below. This surge of ancient power signifies the true awakening of the dungeon's perilous secrets. Red, polygonal crystals float, pulsing with energy, stylized red symbols. The place radiates danger and power. Bichir appears, menacingly smiling, muttering, "This is what brothers killed each other over." He recognizes its crucial importance. A huge, glowing red, sword-like object is jammed into a stone altar. "Is this the demonic cave's relic?" someone asks. Confirmed. This powerful, red-glowing weapon is Beelzebub. Only Baskerville bloodline can draw it, emphasized by glowing red runes. Bichir is shocked. This is Beelzebub, the relic. He remembers it from a past life mythology book called The Fly of Gluttony. Myths reveal ancient tales of great demons invading, Beelzebub, a huge insect-like demon, among them. This is world-altering history. Lore: 7 calamities, demon constellations. To stop them, 7 great clan leaders, including Baskervilles, each faced 1 demon. This builds to who the Baskerville head fought. Baskerville's head fought Beelzebub, the Fly of Gluttony. Its subjugated remains were sealed in Baskerville territory. Demonic energy supposedly caused monster gathering, legend says. A legend, but Bichir knows it's true. He remembers this sword caused countless human deaths by demons in his past life. Not this time, he declares with intense aura. Still glowing red, Bichir firmly grabs the ominous red sword. With a mighty pull, he wrenches it free, proclaiming, "This shall be mine now." As he pulls it, Bichir cries out in pain. Red, tinder-like energy explodes from his hands and body, eyes burning red. The sword overwhelms him. A jagged, dark mark appears in his palm. Black, vein-like lines spread up his arm as intense red energy surges. Something dangerous is happening with the sword. Bichir barely survived Cerberus, now surrounded by intense red energy. Gritting his teeth through pain, a sharply pointed, glowing red sword with fiery hilt gems forms. It's tied to a sword made from the... Holding the red blade, Bichir grasps its true nature, made from a demon constellation's remains. He got Beelzebub, unexpected but welcome. He anticipates greater strength. Bichir concludes there's nothing more he can get from his current location and considers heading back, ready to put this whole ordeal behind him. But before he can even think about it, a sudden, powerful dizziness hits him, making him gasp and hunch over in pain. His body lets out an ominous internal grumble, and he's clearly struggling. He tries to make sense of it, realizing the dizziness is actually an intense, gnawing hunger. Then, the binding on his hand starts to glow with pink and red patterns, almost like it's buzzing, making him wonder if it wants to be fed. This insane appetite makes his stomach feel like it's tearing itself apart. The hunger isn't just painful, it also makes his sense of smell incredibly sharp, and he can now pick up a distinct, delicious scent in the air. Suddenly, the red, organic-looking object on his arm flares with purple patterns, seemingly pointing a direction. Bichir watches it, wondering if it is actually telling him there's something to eat over there. Meanwhile, an unidentified speaker discovers a dark, scaled Hellhound corpse covered in blood. The speaker recognizes it, stating it's the very Hellhound they killed before. Bichir, still dealing with the aftermath of drawing Beelzebub, feels this intense relief as the demonic sword absorbs a mysterious red energy into his arm. He feels like his stomach is finding its place once more, attributing this sensation to having starved for a long time. And that makes him wonder if Beelzebub's insane hunger is somehow responsible for all the withered trees and dry land they saw on Mt. Rouge et Le Noir earlier. Is this demonic relic really that powerful? Beelzebub gives a little buzz in response, glowing with red, intense energy. That's when a system window pops up, revealing Beelzebub's full name. Beelzebub the Gluttonous Fly. The window also shows that slot 1 is now occupied by Hellhound, B+, with slots 2 and 3 still empty. Bichir quickly pieces it together, realizing this must be Beelzebub's unique skill. He recalls how legends said the gluttonous fly could absorb an opponent's abilities and make them its own. It turns out the original demon could practically absorb limitless skills, completely destroying those it took from. But now that Bichir is absorbing from a corpse, he figures he's limited to absorbing 3 skills max. So, the first skill he's gotten is Hellhound's Hemorrhage, which apparently makes even the smallest scratch cause insane amounts of bleeding. And just like that, Bichir realizes the sheer potential. Wait, if I can steal skills. Bichir is seen standing over a gravely wounded multi-headed beast, with red energy pulsing around him. He's yelling W8, while holding a red, glowing, hexagonal object in his hand, appearing alarmed or shocked. He barely finishes when Bichir's powers keep manifesting as red, claw-like energy, and he's explicitly telling an unseen entity, "You can't eat it all." Bichir expresses concern about damaging the monstrous creature too much, saying it'll be difficult to explain later when they check it. The creature itself is making sounds of distress. And just like that, a red, glowing, fleshy substance erupts from Bichir's bandaged right forearm. He clutches it with his left hand and exclaims, "Stop it," as he appears distressed. Despite the pain, Bichir checks his system interface, which shows he's acquired new skills. He now has Incinerate Cerberus, A+, and Hemorrhage Hellhound, B+, in his slots. But then he notices a completely random one. Rapid Regeneration Brown, Rat Norvegicus, F. He's totally surprised, wondering if his ability even consumed a tiny brown rat hidden under the larger creature. He quickly gets over the rat thing, realizing that acquiring Incinerate Cerberus is a significant gain, and more dreadful than the Hellhound's Hemorrhage. Bichir then confirms that he's already finished preparing the demonic creature for the upcoming practical exam. After all that, Bichir stands over a large, dead, wolf-like creature in the dark forest, contemplating if he should just relax until the assessment is finally over. So, the young hounds of Baskerville finally returned from their practical survival assessment, looking pretty worn out. They were immediately put through an evaluation, and the demonic creature corpses they managed to catch were all crafted into cool spoils for them like shields and necklaces. But then, a single demonic creature corpse was brought forward that absolutely stunned everyone. Turns out, 8-year-old Bichir Van Baskerville had accidentally stumbled into an unexplored, super dangerous area during his exam and somehow managed to hunt down a Cerberus, a monster with a terrifying A+ danger rating. With a calculating stare and piercing red eyes, Hugo Baskerville absorbs the shocking news of Bichir's unprecedented hunt, his mind already set on the true measure of a hound. As Hugo delves into the perplexing details of Bichir's hunt, he reveals the Cerberus was already critically injured by barbarian tribes and weakened by a potent poison, leaving his subordinates stunned and demanding to know the nature and origin of such a deadly venom. This news must have reached Hugo Baskerville because he was deep in conversation, explaining his philosophy. He doesn't care about bloodline when raising a hunting dog, only talent and determination. Separately, a clearly distressed man with glasses apologized to an unseen character, who accepted the apology but stated a need for something to lift their mood. The man with glasses was left thinking about a second son undergoing secluded training. Through a window overlooking a stately clock tower, a powerful voice presses for understanding, signaling a decisive move to lift the mood. To lift this mood, an unseen speaker then decided to call young Master Bichir. And sure enough, Bichir is shown with a subtle, knowing smile. A man questions Bichir about how he managed to take down a Cerberus during the practical exam. Bichir just smirks and casually drops that he killed it by feeding it chocolate. The fact is revealed that chocolate is practically a deadly poison to any dog-type demonic creature. Hugo immediately grasps the implication, asking if Bichir had specifically requested it for this reason, and Bichir confirms it, making an unseen observer wonder if this tense exchange is really how a father and son should be talking. But Hugo isn't letting it go that easily. He confronts Bichir about not properly answering and unnamed him regarding the specifics of his hunt. Bichir, with his characteristic defiance and glowing red eyes, simply asks why he should have answered, stating that person isn't his master. John Barrymore stands by, observing the scene. That's when someone, likely testing him, asks who Bichir's master actually is. Bichir, ever the manipulator, doesn't miss a beat, declaring that as a clan member, the clan head Hugo himself is his master. Impressed by this calculated display of loyalty, Hugo praises Bichir and rewards him for placing first in the practical exam. He gets the demonic creature's corpse all to himself in a single wish. Bichir's eyes gleam with anticipation. This is exactly what he's been waiting for. He believes this moment will finally grant him everything he wants, and he states his wish clearly. He wants to enter the 10,000 book library. John Barrymore and a man with dark hair and a beard watch from a counter as Bichir makes his bold request. And what a wish it is. The narrator jumps in to tell us about the 10,000 book library, a massive, ancient library hidden deep within the Baskerville clan's main castle, boasting one of the biggest collections in the entire empire. But the problem is simple. Access is super restricted, only allowed to the clan head, the vice-clan head, and members of the main house. An intense, red-eyed character then appears, questioning if the requester was aware of the library's strict access rules. So, Bichir is asking if he's even allowed to enter some important place, ready to give up or sneak in if it's forbidden. But then Hugo completely surprises him, saying he actually can go in, which wow. Hugo follows up by telling him to head straight for the 10,000 book library, specifically the 6th restricted area, to read Baskerville's swordsmanship. 6 Fang. Bichir is clearly stunned by this order. Bichir's mind is racing. He can't believe Hugo is letting an illegitimate kid like him even look at the 6 Fang. Historically, no Van with his status has ever gotten past the 4th. He tries to dismiss it, reminding himself it's only the 6th, and Hugo is already at the 7th. But that's the thing. In his past life, someone could pull off 9 fangs. Bichir remembers all too well the scorn and humiliation he endured as an illegitimate child, and it's crystal clear he hasn't forgotten any of it. So he declares, right here, right now, that in this life he's going to surpass Hugo. How? By getting his hands on a special swordsmanship scripture from his past life, written by the very first Baskerville clan head, the one who took down the 7 calamities, which contains the clan's true pure essence. His answer? Bichir confidently declares to Hugo that he will be the one to hand it over. Hugo, completely unaware of its true value, politely wishes Bichir good luck. In turn, Bichir, feigning gratitude, promises to meet expectations, all while internally smirking. Bichir arrives at the 10,000 book library, legendary and new to him. He spots scriptures for swordsmanship techniques desired before regression, like severing incisor and crushing molar. Illegitimate Baskerville kids are banned from swordsmanship above 4th Fang. Hugo allowed 6th Fang access, underestimating an 8-year-old's memorization. Before regression, he studied 1st to 4th Fang, figuring out the 5th. He couldn't perform it. Mana flow snapped after 4th Fang, preventing progression. Allowed up to 6th Fang, Fangs and Crimson Aura, Bichir doesn't care. His goal is different, undisclosed. As Bichir leaves the library, 2 men are surprised he's done. An unknown voice contemplates a higher level. A man offers to retrieve forgotten items. Serious scriptures are deeper. Bichir brushes him off, finished. Bichir declares he'll skim other scriptures, telling them to ignore him. 2 brothers whisper, wondering about the miscellaneous section. Bichir lets them think, knowing they'd never understand his true plan. A priceless treasure is hidden in these unimportant scriptures. He scans shelves intently, then stops, surprised, as if he's found something significant. Bichir finds it, an ancient document with mysterious symbols, identified as lurking embedded teeth. Exactly what he sought. Bichir holds an old, torn 1st Fang scripture, classified as miscellaneous, but knows its worth. In his past, his Hound unit found a torn page in a dungeon. That page, in Baskerville handwriting, sparked a massive hunt. Hugo ordered a library search, finding lurking embedded teeth. This ancestral Baskerville scripture detailed reaching the 10th Fang. Hugo became obsessed, unleashing hounds to find 6 missing pages. Remaining pages were in the other 7 great clans. Hugo almost declared war, sacrificing countless hounds to gather them. Reward for sacrifice, Hugo's simple good job. Furious, Bichir remembers Hugo reaching 9th Fang, using hounds as fodder. Bichir now holds the book that began it. Bichir remembers fetching lost pages in his past life, yet couldn't surpass 4th Fang swordsmanship. He understands his limitation was not seeing the source text. The book explains the 10th Fang's first step is similar to the first. Drawing a sword limits all paths. With past life knowledge, Bichir understands the sky outside transitions from dark to soft pink, indicating much time passed. Bichir closes the book, satisfied. That's enough. He's absorbed everything. He spent the day reading the book. Guardian Knights are missing. After Beelzebub and the survival assessment, he considers his strength. His kid body can't hit 10 fangs, but he might reach 5th Fang, a level never achieved previously. Then, as if proving it, he activates intense red energy around himself. His eyes glow red, and power builds in his hand. He unleashes Baskerville 1st Fang, then 2nd Fang, red and blue energy crackling around him. He pushes further, calling 3rd Fang and 4th Fang, each with swirling red and blue lightning as he progresses. As he pushes, Bichir's thoughts drift to his past, a shabby existence despite a highest-rank graduate aura. The main house looked down on him for not learning swordsmanship. He never reached 5th Fang as an illegitimate child. He explodes, vowing never to live that life again. The glowing humanoid figure takes a hit, almost stunned, but powers up, radiating intense light and energy. An intense old man with long gray hair, eyes glowing red then blue, laser-like energy crisscrossing his face hints at serious power. In a burst of red energy, a young male with dark hair and glowing red eyes lunges with a powerful fist in an intense fight. Perspective shifts. Bichir, in a library surrounded by red energy, assesses his progress as lacking but still drew the 5th Fang. Despite calling it lacking, Bichir overflows with emotion. He clenches fists, on the verge of tears of joy for reaching 5th Fang. He wonders if swords are nearby. System breakdown. 5th Fang is mid-rank sword graduate. His rapid progress aims for Bichir hits the 5th Fang of swordsmanship, his mana whole-growing. He thinks a mana boost can restore his past power. Enlightenment jumped him a dimension to low-rank graduate with liquid aura, a huge leap from high-rank sword expert. At 8, he hit a level he reached at 30 in his past life. A sword graduate is a different league than an expert. Liquid aura is denser and more flexible than gaseous aura. His new swordsmanship is superior. Stabbing canine capped at 5th form. This new one goes to 10th Fang with infinite potential. Lurking embedded teeth is perfect swordsmanship, blending offense and defense with limitless growth. Bichir thinks he can take on a graduated medium-rank opponent. Someone calculates chances against Hugo, 100% for assassination, 50% for direct assault. They must show him just enough strength. Hugo looks pensive with the man with glasses nearby. A mysterious character pulls a metallic device, planning manipulation. Pointing at an ancient book, a light beam makes the text glow and crack. Bichir grins, red eyes glowing, confirming Hugo and his hunting dogs are cut off from the 10th tooth. A small fire burns. In a room, a man reacts sharply. What is this smell? A distinct odor fills the air. Bichir apologizes to mid-bro and low-bro for burning a book. They dismiss his apology, relieved it was miscellaneous pages. Bichir mentions the clan's conflict, calling the incident trivial, and asks them in highbrow to keep it secret before walking into bookshelves. Having secured their silence regarding his actions, Bichir stands before the 2 towering retainers, their stern gazes fixed upon him. Yet, as Bichir turns from them, the towering retainers exchange a surprised, admiring glance, one leaning in to quietly express his newfound delight in their young master. While Bichir is busy, retainers gush about him being a thoughtful, respectable kid who cares for his servants, as Bichir smiles with red eyes. The grand, empty corridor awaits Bichir's return, a silent testament to the brief interlude where his thoughts delve deeper. Soon, Bichir is back with Hugo, who asks if he found enlightenment. Bichir replies, "A little bit." Hugo responds, "Ho-ho," and John Barrymore observes. Hugo asks what Bichir felt. Bichir describes it as something warm and sharp, while also soft and wave-like. Hugo and John Barrymore are shocked. Hugo realizes Bichir describes aura, ultimate proof of entering the sword world. Prodigies usually don't reach low-rank sword expert status until 15, yet 8-year-old Bichir manifests blue energy. Hugo, noting Bichir is only 8, asks him to demonstrate. Bichir, grinning, agrees. A massive, multi-tiered structure, glowing and packed with shadowy figures, is revealed. Something huge is about to happen. A young boy with red eyes draws his sword, determined. Other cadets look surprised. John Barrymore asks Hugo about the young master's test. Hugo says he's sending a demonic beast, stunning John. Hugo wasn't kidding. An unseen voice says the beast was starved for sensitivity. A massive, chained, green monster is led through an arena where a young man waits, sword in hand. The beast emerges, red eyes glowing. A system window confirms it's an ORC with danger rating C. Someone gasps. Onlookers can't believe an 8-year-old faces an orc, minimum age 15. Hugo notes Guardian Knights are ready, as Bichir calmly prepares. Bichir stands in an arena, sword in hand, facing a massive orc. The handler looks surprised as its chains are loose. The man with dark hair and beard watches as the orc growls. The orc roars, red eyes glowing, steam shooting out. It's powerful, but Bichir stands unfazed, sword ready. The monster snarls and growls. Bichir observes it, taking in its movements and power. The orc lunges, swinging a heavy fist. Bichir meets it head-on with his blue glowing sword. The impact sends a shockwave, surprising the two observers. Bichir presses his advantage, moving incredibly fast. His blue glowing sword slices into the orc's lower body. The orc cries out as blood splatters. He doesn't let up. Bichir delivers another powerful mid-air blow to the injured, bleeding monster. The orc screams in pain, shocked its rapid regeneration skill isn't activating. The Trident brothers are stunned by Bichir's power, wondering how an 8-year-old unleashed a B+ rank beast like Hellhound, Hemorrhage, and can't believe a C-rank demonic beast has a chance. Bichir senses he's holding back, and someone expects his true power. He decides to show what he's capable of. Observers question if it's possible without mana. The man with dark hair and beard's eyes glow ominously. The man with glasses gasps in shock. Bichir smirks, revealing his new mastery, an aura blade crackling with red energy. The orc isn't out. It growls, skin turning reddish-purple, eyes glowing red, radiating a menacing red aura, preparing a counterattack. Bichir doesn't give it the chance. He launches forward in a blinding flash, eyes glowing red, enveloped in red energy, blade ready. The man with dark hair and a beard watches focused, as red, crackling energy envelopes Bichir. John Barrymore detects a low-rank sword expert's aura, congratulating Hugo on this generation's genius. Hugo scoffs, claiming this genius is unparalleled across Empire clans. Bichir, holding a bloodstained sword, tells the butler to wait. He notes the orc is still bleeding, odd for orcs with insane regeneration. Hugo thinks the winner won because the orc was weakened. Bichir, looking at him, calls him father and asks, "Is there any?" Feeling confident after his orc victory, Bichir directly asks his father if there's anything stronger out there. He plans to reveal just enough strength, surprising those around them. Bichir calculates this display might get him recognition to escape Hugo's direct influence, maybe even dispatch him to the wilderness or an academy. Hugo simply observes, noting the captured orc wasn't enough for his son. The man with dark hair and beard suggests Bichir needs more combat experience. He asks John Barrymore if the barbarian individual they captured for experimentation is still available. Barrymore confirms one remains, likely sensitive from lack of food. A massive, dark, monstrous creature with glowing red eyes and smoke pouring from its mouth is revealed. A voice commands, "Bring it here." This is the barbarian individual. Two onlookers are shocked by its sight. The character with red eyes calmly identifies it. It's a troll. The huge, chained creature roars, straining against its restraints and smashing its massive fist. A suited swordsman stands ready, sword in hand, for the dangerous challenge. Bichir immediately asks Hugo for permission to begin his next challenge, which Hugo grants with a curt begin. The ominous grinding of large chains can be heard. Bichir charges into the fray. The massive, mud-like troll with glowing red eyes roars, but Bichir delivers a powerful, explosive punch right to its face. But the troll doesn't go down easily. It retaliates with a devastating impact, scattering debris everywhere with immense force. Bichir, with glowing red eyes, is caught in the thick of it. He expresses frustration, with a sword lying on the ground nearby. The fight rages on, a combatant falling through the air as the massive, gray troll moves powerfully. Observers are stunned, one shouting in confusion about a missed opening. The man with dark hair and beard observes, calmly remarking, "Good decision." He explains that trolls have truly outstanding regenerative abilities. Bichir shows intense combat. The narration reminds us that against trolls, a single fatal blow is crucial. Anything less is wasted energy. Strategy is everything. A giant troll lumbers aggressively, yet the 8-year-old Bichir expertly dodges every attack. Observers are baffled, calling his tactic of tiring the troll out a genius-level strategy. But it's all an act. Bichir feels no pressure, scoffing at the troll's slowness. He knows he could easily kill it with his true strength, but is deliberately holding back. Bichir quickly devises a plan. He'll kill it naturally by waiting for its charge, then using its immense strength against it. This aligns with his goal of a natural kill, avoiding complications. Bichir unleashes a powerful sword strike. With glowing red eyes and a fierce red and blue aura, he slams his blade into the creature's thick leg, creating a devastating impact. The troll roars in pain, but onlookers immediately worry. They know its rapid regeneration means the strike's impact will be short-lived if it wasn't fatal. Bichir fights the massive troll. Observers know the first Fang of Baskerville swordsmanship can't kill it, despite Bichir's impressive performance. Bichir agrees internally, knowing the first Fang won't cut its hide, and opts not to use Beelzebub's hemorrhage. An unseen speaker tells him to stop, warning of danger. Bichir, sweating, insists he's close to a realization and won't stop. The observers silently watch. Bichir declares he'll only abandon the fight if his next attack doesn't finish it. After a moment, the unseen speaker simply says continue. The character with light hair and red eyes looks on, surprised. Bichir is back in action, facing the monstrous troll. With his glowing, red aura sword ready, he internally weighs how much of his true power he should reveal. This whole thing is calculated. Bichir reveals his plan. He's staging a performance to appear to gain sudden enlightenment during combat, making it seem like he's reaching a next level of power. As the troll roars in distress, reacting to Bichir's performance, Bichir's internal monologue confirms this is all for Hugo. He eagerly anticipates Hugo's reaction to his level up. Engulfed in potent red energy, Bichir unleashes a massive, sharp red attack on the screaming troll. Powerful, swirling red energy surrounds the assault. The troll screams loudly as Bichir continues his relentless assault. His sword, enveloped in red energy, moves with incredible speed and power, showing high impact. The man with glasses and younger characters react with wide-eyed surprise. A narrator explains that life in the Baskerville clan is usually a predictable formula. Normally, hunting dogs imbue mana and exude auras around age 15, learning the first Fang of Baskerville swordsmanship. However, the narration states that for the first time in clan history, Bichir, at only 8 years old, achieved the second Fang, a level his brothers typically reach at 18. Bichir, an irregular, smiles and declares, "I ended up winning." The magnitude of what happened truly hits everyone. The man with dark hair and beard is visibly shocked, while someone shouts, "What did we just see?" Spectators stare at the defeated, rock-like creature, with a small figure standing nearby. A week passes after Bichir's big public display. Multiple Baskerville clan members are seen eating in a large hall. Bichir is there, eating meat stew, completely over it. He can't get used to the taste, no matter how much he eats. While eating, he notices everyone keeping their distance. He figures it's just Baskerville logic. Strength is everything. He also recalls Hugo being flustered. In Hugo's room, a reporter tells Hugo that Bichir has returned. Hugo appears agitated. Bichir internally reveals his long game. He publicly showed only the second Fang, making them think he's a medium-rank sword expert, but he's actually a low-rank graduate with the fifth Fang. He also gained a new skill, Ultra Regeneration Troll, C+, which he believes makes him stronger than a regular graduate. The only downside is his appetite skyrocketed after getting Beelzebub. He's about to dig into his food, but hesitates, saying HHEY, UHM. Hi bro, mid bro, and low bro looks surprised that Bichir's eye glows red. After his win, Bichir confronts High Bro, Mid Bro, and Low Bro, his eye glowing red. He demands to know what they're up to, asking if he went too easy on them. The brothers panic, desperately trying to explain. Instead of explaining, one brother quickly compliments Bichir on killing Cerberus and the troll. Bichir reacts with a weird PFT sound, spitting something out, which makes the brothers switch from fear to concern, asking if he's okay. Bichir isn't fooled, internally wondering if they're trying to play him. He gets goosebumps from the suspicious interaction, considering punching them first. But before he can, someone calls his name. It's Butler Barrymore, also surprised. He tells Bichir, addressing him as young master, that he needs to visit the clan head immediately. Bichir looks surprised, and Adolph Morg, the Moor clan head's agent, arrives for annual joint training. Sir Hugo is noted as unchanging. They discuss last year's event, injuring many, but the man with dark hair and beard dismisses it as mere scratches. His chilling red eyes and dismissive posture, arms casually crossed, perfectly embody his arrogant disregard for the severity of their injuries. Maintaining his casual, dismissive posture, the man with dark hair and beard further provokes the representative, rhetorically asking if the joint training all ended without much happening so far, sparking an imminent clash. This sparks a clash. The man with dark hair and beard calls Morg children overdramatic, but a white-haired Morg rep proudly declares his clan prestigious. Blue and red power auras flare, revealing deep animosity. This rivalry isn't new. Morg is the prestigious magic clan, Baskerville the swordsman clan of blood and iron. Though an emperor generations ago said magic and swords were complementary, that peace didn't last, and tension is palpable. The Baskerville and Morg clans kick off joint training for their kids, but quickly goes south. Tension stems from a messy ruby mine dispute skewing clan head relations. The emperor forced continued training, but Adolph, Morg clan head's younger brother, attends as agent. An old man praises the Baskerville clan's rising star as a once-in-a-century genius, a big deal for the empire. But the man with dark hair and beard brushes off the compliment. Adolph finds it unusual for Hugo, the man with dark hair and beard, to react to compliments about his kid. Adolph proudly announces the Morg clan also has a genius, a double fortune for the empire. Someone tells Camus to enter. Camus, with long red hair and a sharp uniform, walks through a doorway. As Camus' footsteps echo, Hugo stands there, arms crossed, with a stern expression. Chaos erupts as Camus, clan head Raspain's red-haired daughter, enters. Her uncle tries to get her to politely greet the clan head. Instead, Camus points at the individual in blue and gold, accusing them of stealing their ruby mine and demanding it back. What an introduction. Hugo reacts, his eyes glowing red. He repeats thief, in disbelief, clearly not thrilled about the accusation. Her uncle freaks out. Camus, deadpan, recounts him saying the pathetic bearded man stole our ruby mine like a thief an hour and 42 minutes ago. He loses it, denying everything. Hugo repeats a pathetic beard, like a thief, as her uncle stammers about a misunderstanding. Someone dismisses Camus, but Hugo holds his head, troubled by the accusation. Camus doesn't let up. She cuts off excuses, shouting she needs her rubies back for research. Her uncle gasps her name, desperate for her to stop. Amid chaos, Hugo, eyes glowing red, yells stop. An older man berates a Morg clan member for their manners, as the red-haired girl remains central to the drama. Someone demands to know why Hugo Le Baskerville, the Empire Sword Saint, is harassing an 8-year-old girl. Hugo T.S. Gaius, accusing the Morg clan of teaching their kids to covet what isn't theirs. The scene shifts. Hugo Le Baskerville, John Barrymore, and a red-haired child are in a formal room. Someone asks, others? A uniformed person approaches a couch. John Barrymore escorts Bichir Van Baskerville into the room, addressing Hugo as clan head. Hugo observes Bichir, wondering if this kid is the Baskerville's new rising star. Hugo suddenly reacts with a surprised H-U-H. Oi, what did you say just now? As if something vanished. He reaches out where a figure had been. Meanwhile, a young boy and girl stand tensely facing each other. Bichir is shocked, stammering, "See Camus? Camus? No way." A female character also thinks Camus, indicating the name rattles everyone. Bichir is confronted by an angry young red-haired girl. He wonders if this is a younger Camus Morg, the legendary steel-blooded Empress, and genius archmage of the Morgue clan. Bichir's thoughts recall Camus' formidable future as the steel-blooded Empress. She subjugated monsters, creating imperial borders with brutal methods. Her captivating beauty also held the socialite world spellbound. Her beauty manipulated emperors, earning her the title Avatar of Authority. But Bichir reminds himself this is the far future. Right now, Camus is an 8-year-old. She's furious, confronting him about the ruby mine, demanding why it is when it belongs to them. Camus dismisses Bichir's actions as a tantrum. Two stern older men, one light-haired and one dark-bearded, observe the tense exchange. The male character calmly retorts, questioning her tantrum, and confirms she's the one throwing it. Enraged, Camus declares she'll teach him why the ruby mine belongs to the Morgues, as icy, snow-like power surges around her hand. As her chilling resolve solidifies, the icy power surrounding her hand violently erupts, engulfing her form in a blizzard of magical energy. She continues to lay out her defiant terms, threatening to teach him a simple lesson. Her icy power doesn't merely surround her, but explodes outwards, transforming the grand cityscape into a breathtaking spectacle of frigid, glowing energy. As the breathtaking spectacle of frigid energy crests, a formidable young man with piercing crimson eyes steps into view, drawing the focused attention of powerful figures and a knowing oh-ho from a distinguished elder. Those piercing crimson eyes, now brought into sharp focus, betray a profound depth of thought as he takes in the transformed world. The transformed world unveils its icy divisions. The territories of Baskerville and Morgue stand in stark opposition, their rivalry fueled by the precious ruby mine hidden beneath the frozen depths. Amidst the unfolding rivalries, a stern gaze falls upon the scene as an elder proudly declares his little niece's astute intelligence. Yet a young boy with fiery red eyes meets the elder's declaration with a wide, questioning grin, his surprised hanging in the air as he gazes at the astute niece. His surprised is met with the astute niece's fiery retort, declaring with absolute conviction that the Baskervilles hold no real interest in rubies, leaving the onlookers in a mix of surprise and knowing amusement. Her eyes blaze with an intensity rivaling any ruby, mirroring the fierce conviction of her recent declaration. With a powerful surge, she conjures a magnificent, glowing city of ice and light, manifesting her domain before the stunned onlookers. With a commanding gesture, her outstretched hand commands the dazzling, crystalline city to fully materialize, its intricate architecture glowing with an otherworldly blue light. This magnificent frozen metropolis, her formidable domain, now stands majestically before the stunned onlookers. With a confident smirk, her fiery red eyes fix on the stunned onlookers as she delivers a chilling question that shatters their complacency and asserts her formidable power. Ignoring her formidable display, a determined young man with piercing red eyes smiles, extending a hand that offers a new path, or perhaps a dangerous alliance. Her own crimson gaze widens in shock, a bead of sweat tracing her temple as the weight of the proposed alliance settles upon her, a luminous red glyph emerging as a sign of the unfolding danger. As his outstretched hand draws her closer, a profound bewilderment washes over her crimson features, punctuated by a single, disbelieving huh? His own elderly gaze, wide and unnerved behind round spectacles, registers the profound shock of the moment, a bead of sweat clinging to his temple. Yet, as the shock settles, her vibrant eye suddenly flares with an unnerving scarlet intensity, a lone bead of sweat mirroring the powerful Cerberus. Bichir, eyes glowing red, declares, "Your arm is mine." 8-year-old genius Camus is shocked, yelling, "What?" A dagger threatens her. Camus screams, "Kyaa!" in fear, crying, "Save me, uncle." Adolphe Morgue, Camus' uncle, appears enraged, barking, "Brat, step away from my niece. Now," Bichir observes. Camus strikes near Bichir. Adolphe pulls her into an embrace. Bichir watches thoughtfully. Camus points to her arm, yelling, "Uncle." My arm." Adolphe demands from Hugo, clan head, "What is this?" Adolphe tells Bichir his joke went too far. Bichir calmly smiles, playing with a small knife. An adult apologizes, saying such jokes are normal. Adolphe is angry at toy. Crying, Camus asks why such a toy exists. Bichir apologizes. Adolphe explains Baskervilles use knives early, so Bichir's joke is unacceptable. Adolphe questions if this is overbearing for a child's joke. Hugo looks uncomfortable. Adolphe announces a ruby mine solution. Hugo suggests finishing the friendly competition. Teary-eyed Camus vows she won't forgive whoever is responsible. Bichir Van Baskerville smiles calmly. Joint training begins for kids 8 to 15. A masked figure attacks with red/purple energy. Ice shards litter the ground. Normally, 15-year-olds spar, but this year, all eyes are elsewhere. A young figure creates blue energy/ice shards. Focus is on Camus Morgue, representing the Magician clan, looking serious. Bichir Van Baskerville, from the Swordsman clan, is introduced. More clans rules adopted. Camus observes. Bichir smiles. It's a spar between the two rising clan stars. A giant bell signals their duel start. Camus warns Bichir, be prepared. I never go easy. Bichir stands poised. Camus goes all out, eyes glowing, magic circles appearing for a spell. Observers are taken aback. Someone gasps, recognizing quadracasting. Camus' eyes blaze red, crystals float, a sign of her genius. Hugo and Adolphe marvel. She casts 4 spells at once, tough for 15-year-olds. Hugo smirks. Camus unleashes lightning, fire, and blue energy. Bichir readies his sword, fiery aura and lightning sparking. Bichir comments on flashy lightning. Camus advises, focus on each spell individually. Oof. Camus yells, what do you know? You're just a worm. She casts a massive sand wall. Bichir runs alongside it. Bichir isn't amused by Worm. He's in the middle of a swift, powerful move. The sand wall shatters. Camus is flung backward, shocked, questioning the Baskerville clan's river Styx. Camus thinks I was careless, stunned by the power difference. She lets out a surprised huh? Camus quickly recovers, a slight smile forming, preparing her small sword. Someone is surprised. An unseen individual delivers a swift forehead flick, sending Camus stumbling back. Adolphe and another man are shocked. Camus collapses, red mark on her forehead, tears welling. She demands, are you going easy on me? Bichir taunts Camus, suggesting ending the confrontation now. Camus grits her teeth. Camus shouts, conjure sand wall. Double. She challenges Bichir, confident he can't break her twofold barrier. Bichir smirks, questions the wall's point. Isn't this pointless if I just walk around it? He holds a dagger for direct confrontation. Bichir unleashes a powerful downward punch, shattering the ground. Camus cries, landing hard as a hand reaches for her. Bichir emerges from the broken barrier. A voice asks Camus whose hand it is. Camus yells what? The answer, the stronger one. Camus is left on the ground, crying in pain, overwhelmed. 8-year-old Camus, injured on her nose, is on the ground. Bichir stands over her, arm raised. Her distress intensifies, a spot on her head, glowing red in pain as she clutches it. An enraged voice screams, I'll kill you. You are. Bichir thinks he only meant to hurt her a little, finds kids difficult. Bichir knows killing her would cause uproar. He decides to appease her using someone else. Camus rages with lightning and fire. Bichir shifts his gaze. A confrontation brews. A swordsman faces a charging figure. Swordsman roars he'll cut shitty magic. Observer notes it's a battle between a stupid magician and an idiot swordsman. Furious Camus chases Bichir, demanding why her attacks aren't landing. Bichir looks back. Someone thinks that might be useful. Camus unleashes fiery power, daring Bichir. Then let's see if you can cut this too. Bichir challenges, come at me. Bichir rushes, shouting now. As an explosion erupts. Camus is confused as her name is called. Bichir unleashes a terrifying, fiery aura. Warning, prepare a protection spell. The blast shoves her back, overwhelming her. Camus is utterly shocked and distressed. An older man shouts an oh, in alarm. Others look grim. A massive explosion rips through the area, engulfing everything in fiery energy. After Bichir's massive fiery explosion, everything's chaos. Onlookers are screaming, totally freaked out, in pure panic about Lord Camus. Adolphe Morgue is absolutely furious, yelling something off-panel, practically exploding from rage. Camus, still in the blast's aftermath, managed to block the direct damage with her protection magic, so she's physically okay, but she's overwhelmed. A voice, identified as her uncle's, cuts through the smoke. Her real problem hits. The fire magic burned off all her clothes. She's hidden by smoke, but if it clears before she can cover up, she'll be utterly humiliated. Distraught and in tattered clothes, Camus cries for help. She looks up, surprised, as an unidentified figure walks right up to her through the smoke. A shirtless young man with red eyes, Bichir, expresses surprise. Another character offers him pants, saying wear this at least. An unidentified speaker questions, showing kindness to an enemy. Bichir, coolly, offers to take the pants back if she doesn't want them, unbothered by his bare chest. Camus, red-faced, wonders why he's showing her, his opponent, any kindness. Amid Camus' confusion, an unseen character tells the shirtless Bichir he's bleeding. He has an arm wound and looks genuinely surprised. Internal thoughts question how a body strengthened by the river Styx got scratched, speculating it was lingering aura from a knight's sword fragment. Two uniformed men react, startled by the dusty aftermath. As dust settles, Bichir stands, seemingly fine despite his arm wound. Camus sits disheveled, her clothes tattered. An unseen person expresses relief. An older man, along with others, sees the aftermath, absolutely floored. The morgue's genius daughter is on the ground, but young Baskerville is bleeding. The implications are shocking. After the fight, uniformed individuals discuss the aftermath. Bichir stands shirtless, well-built for his age, with minor arm scratches. Someone comments his physique is impressive, likely due to the river Styx's blessing, regardless of the duel's outcome. A speaker speculates Bichir's muscles come from diligent training, calling his talent incredible for an 8-year-old. Meanwhile, Hugo comforts a flustered, teary-eyed Camus morgue, who still holds a blue cylindrical object. Hugo and Bichir walk through a building. Hugo casually asks Bichir about his duel against the young morgue daughter. Bichir says the duel was enjoyable. He understood how different it is fighting a magician versus a swordsman. Hugo asks why he didn't attack properly. Bichir's excuse: he hesitated because he'd never fought a girl. Hugo states hesitation in battle always leads to injury, telling Bichir to take his bandaged arm wound as a lesson. Bichir reacts with surprise. Bichir's inner monologue wonders if Hugo is worrying about him. He admits he doesn't remember Hugo's childhood self, only recalling him as always cold, strict, and his thought bubble cuts off. The two men walk side by side, their footsteps echoing as one begins to pose a question that will set their next move in motion. After the duel, Bichir and Hugo discuss strategy. Hugo asks about the ruby mine dispute, and Bichir, shockingly, suggests giving it to them. Hugo, surprised, demands to know why. Bichir explains their clan's goal: expanding into the wilds. Red Fang Mountain, rich in rubies, is infested with demonic creatures and barbarians. His ruthless plan: let more take the mine, then use them as a human shield, minimizing Baskerville losses. Hugo smirks, approving the cunning trap. A shadowy figure and a man with red eyes confirm a plot. Once more personnel are at the mine, Baskerville will divert all local threats to them. Rubies will run red with more blood, making their clan head regret his move. An unseen adult praises Bichir for matching 90% of their plan. Bichir coolly corrects them. He devised the whole scheme, including luring monsters to the morgues, emphasizing ongoing vigilance. Vigilance is active. A bearded man assures the group their hunting dogs are infiltrating the morgue clan. This news catches a white-haired man off guard, leaving him quizzical. In the aftermath, someone addresses a white-haired man as clan head. A red-haired girl is with him. An older man holds back a younger man, hinting at underlying tension. Bichir stands with an adult man. An unseen voice asks them for a private conversation before they head back. Camus peeks shyly from behind blue clothes, blushing hard. Hugo Le Baskerville, Adolphe Morgue, and Camus sit down. The man asking questions addresses Adolphe, the Morgue clan head's representative, asking if he has anything to say. Adolphe, serious, begins to say they have one important. The discussion reveals one important matter. The Morgue clan wants to resolve the ruby mine problem amicably. Hugo, all business, points out territory rent is just one agenda item. Adolphe, unsatisfied, demands to know what he'll gain by opening his territory. Hugo proposes, how about a betrothal? An unseen character immediately reacts with a surprised betrothal. Adolphe Morgue, Camus' uncle, proposes a formal betrothal between the Morgue and Baskerville clans, linking them through Camus and the eldest Baskerville son. He praises Camus as an incredible child, beautiful and intelligent, making her blush. This proposal feels tense after her recent duel. The red-haired woman pushes the idea, suggesting a great partner for the small son, the Baskerville successor. Hugo reveals his eldest son is 25, a 17-year age difference with an 8-year-old. The woman shrugs it off, calling it manageable. Bichir listens. The young man with dark hair declares he won't marry anyone weaker than his mother. An elderly man tells Camus she'll be single forever with such high standards. Camus scoffs, making it clear she seeks potential, not just strength, and hates big age gaps. She wants someone her age or younger. Hugo bluntly tells Camus, "Child, this is not a buffet." Camus, fired up, snaps back she knows, and doesn't just eat whatever's given. As she finishes, her defiant expression shifts. She blushes, flustered. Hugo lets out a curious HM, while Adolphe Morgue looks on intently. Camus is caught off guard, gasping in confusion. An unseen voice utters, "Perhaps." Hugo Le Baskerville, startled and sweating, suddenly shouts with alarm, "You can't, you fool." Adolphe Morgue whispers derogatory remarks about someone being an illegitimate half-son and a half-breed dragon. Camus is distressed, which enrages Hugo Le Baskerville, whose eye glows red. Before tension boils over, the conversation pivots. A question is raised about an individual's thoughts in a betrothal. Hugo Le Baskerville addresses Bichir as his son and asks for his opinion. The question puts Camus on edge. She blushes with a bead of sweat, indicating nervousness. A thumping heart sound effect highlights her emotional state. Bichir Van Baskerville, in his dark uniform, appears deep in thought or hesitating to speak, indicated by ellipses and an incomplete word. Bichir's thought bubble concludes with, "is what I think," delivering his unexpected opinion. This shocks both Camus and Adolphe Morgue. Camus gasps what? In disbelief. Hugo Le Baskerville reacts with intense surprise or anger, his eye glowing red as he sweats. He exclaims, "This brat." The chapter concludes. Bichir unleashed a huge fiery explosion. As the smoke clears, everyone expects Camus to be wrecked, but she's still standing, singed and shocked. Her protective magic was barely enough, and she's barely hanging on. Adolphe Morgue, Camus' uncle, is livid. He screams at Bichir, demanding to know what barbarian would use such power against an 8-year-old. Red with rage, he's practically vibrating, wanting to tear Bichir apart. Hugo, head of the Baskerville clan, steps in. He calmly strolls into the arena, ignoring Adolphe's shouts. He looks at a shocked Camus, then at Bichir's satisfied smirk. Hugo announces the duel is over, and the Baskervilles are the clear victors. Adolphe, still furious, tries to argue excessive force, but Hugo cuts him off, reminding him it was no-holds-barred training. He reveals the Baskervilles' proved superior strength, settling the Ruby Mine dispute in their favor. The Morgue clan fumes as the betrothal discussion questions individual feelings. Hugo asks his eldest son's opinion. Camus, flustered and blushing, watches Hugo's eldest son pause before saying "I." He states, "I will do it if that's what you order." Clan head Raspain explodes in rage, calling him a brat and questioning his insolence towards Camus. Camus is shocked. Camus blushes, wondering if he's just shy and doesn't dislike her. Someone then states Baskerville lineage doesn't matter, only that Ellie produces inferior children. Hugo's eldest son declares Van Branch produces superior children, despite some lines yielding inferior ones. Clan head Raspain is taken aback, questioning his talent. Bichir appears, serious, and calls out Adolphe Morgue. Adolphe Morgue, the betrodhal's proposer, aggressively tells Bichir that mere talent isn't enough for Camus. Holding Bichir's chin, his words are direct despite a casual tone. Clan head Raspain discusses the arranged marriage, an internal decision, stating even legitimate Baskerville children aren't good enough for Camus. He questions Bichir's sturdiness and silence. Bichir, unfazed, deadpants, "I stopped listening because you said you weren't speaking to me." Camus is shocked, wondering, how can he speak so boldly in front of Uncle? Adolphe Morgue smirks and laughs at Bichir's defiance, either impressed or enjoying the chaos. Clan head Raspain asks Hugo for a talk with Bichir. Adolphe sarcastically asks if the Empire's great magician will interrogate an 8-year-old. Raspain replies this child could become his niece's husband, refocusing on the betrothal. Adolphe clarifies he's asking as an uncle, not a clan representative. Camus, flustered, protests, "Uncle, it's not like that." Clan head Rasbane silences Camus, stating it's necessary, then addresses Sir Baskerville for an answer. Clan head Rasbane reluctantly agrees. "Well, if you insist." Bichir watches intently. The venerable old man stands firm, his gaze holding the weight of an imminent decision that will determine the child of Baskerville's fate. As a grand castle casts long shadows in the fading light, the very air hums with anticipation, and a powerful aura emanates from the child of Baskerville, signaling the commencement of their ultimate trial. In a courtyard, a serious old man declares a test for the child of Baskerville. Bichir Van Baskerville stands before Adolphe Morgue, accepts a sword, and calmly says, "Yes, I understand." After the betrothal proposal, Camus' uncle, Adolphe Morgue, flexes his power. He offers a handicap, instantly forging a water-filled jar with golden energy, and declares he'll dual balancing it on his head. Golden energy erupts as Adolphe instantly forges the water-filled jar, its raw power reverberating. Her eyes widen in disbelief, a bead of sweat tracing a path down her temple as Adolphe's intimidating display of power leaves everyone stunned. Adolphe sets the rules. If Bichir spills a drop from the jar, Bichir wins. Bichir recognizes Adolphe as a powerful opponent he couldn't beat in his past life, seeing this as a chance to gauge his true power. As Adolphe calmly observes, Bichir stands prepared, his sword held low as his mind races to devise a strategy against the formidable power he must now gauge. Bichir believes Hugo allowed this to gauge his strength. He calculates his pre-regression odds against Hugo's eldest son, 50% with ambush, 10% head-on. Adolphe, confident, challenges Bichir, claiming he won't need full strength. Determined to impress Hugo, Bichir plunges downwards with electrical energy, declaring it's time to gauge a great magician's power. Camus gasps, staring at Adolphe, motionless on the ground in blue and gold armor. A voice warns against running into Uncle Adolphe. Bichir, with glowing red eyes, seemingly surprised, smashes into Adolphe with powerful blue energy, driving him down. Adolphe questions Camus, "Why tell him that, niece?" Camus casts a massive shield, asserting it's the best defense against a swordsman. Bichir lets out an annoyed "TCH." Adolphe's eyes blaze fiery red as he conjures glowing orbs, asking if it's his turn. Fiery slashes explode around Bichir, propelling him downwards. Camus protests, "Uncle, that's too much. You've never used such magic even against me." Adolphe, battling Bichir, snaps back, asking whose side she's on and vowing revenge. Hugo's eldest son calmly watches, seeing no need to intervene. Facing Adolphe, the Moor clan's great magician, Bichir plans to bait him using his 8-year-old regressor status and past life experience, even considering a kill shot. As Bichir prepares, chaotic combat erupts. A dark uniformed character is knocked by energy, another blasted. Bichir, with glowing red eyes, appears enraged. Bichir relentlessly attacks Adolphe Morgue with his blue glowing sword. Adolphe scoffs, unfazed, confident Bichir's sword cannot break a shield. Bichir launches another powerful, explosive sword strike, energy rippling off his blade, aiming to breach Adolphe's defenses. Hugo watches Bichir precisely hit the same spot repeatedly. He acknowledges Bichir's focus and swordsmanship, but notes his sword is visibly cracked. Seeing his sword crack, Bichir redirects energy, attacking Hugo. Hugo laughs it off, comparing it to throwing eggs at a stone wall, noting Bichir's misjudged shield and sword durability. Hugo, with his arm around Camus, advises her that stubbornness works, but careful opponent selection is key. Camus looks caught off guard. As Hugo confidently lectures, a liquid drip traces down his forehead, the subtle first sign of Bichir's true, unexpected attack. A sword piece shatters a jar, splashing Hugo. Stunned, he yells, "Wah!" A piece of the sword broke through the jar. Bichir, with a cunning smirk, calmly says, "I believe that's enough. Or do I need to spill more?" Camus, flustered, eyes wide, thinks coincidence. He beat Uncle. Does that mean marriage? Adolphe Morgue stands silent. The proposal isn't going as planned. Camus connects unexpected dots. Bichir smirks, wondering coincidence. The broken sword piece just hit the jar. An unidentified speaker addresses him as Bichir Van Baskerville. Bichir thinks, "I might be raising a slight Chapter 16 starts with a 7-year time skip. At the Baskerville training facility, a massive, horned, bear-like creature with glowing red eyes growls aggressively. It roars energetically as 3 individuals observe it. The creature slams its paw down. Dark uniformed figures with glowing red eyes leap in with swords, attacking. They land glowing punches and sword strikes. The beast roars in pain, lashing out. In the middle of the chaos, Staffordshire Baskerville, the clan's guide dog, advises, run from stronger opponents. Don't get greedy for vitals. Instead of Bichir's betrothal, Staffordshire Baskerville slicing uniformed individuals with a powerful red energy attack. One falls back. Highbrow, midbrow, and lowbrow are in action, smirking. A huge horned creature praises them as young masters, impressed. Their auras are ripe, dark red, as they should be. Highbrow and midbrow radiate intense red, fiery auras, swinging swords. An individual claps, congratulating the young masters. They've all reached low-rank sword expert. Instructor Pavlov confirms trainees finished 7-year training, mastering Baskerville swordsmanship's first Fang. He warns the Oxbear was weak compared to Mt. Loup Rouge et Le Noir's, admitting even he struggles with an aged one. A stern voice warns 5 uniformed men. Death is closer than they think. Overcome it with talented blood. Instructor Pavlov delivers a final statement. Build experience to survive. He salutes and congratulates them. An unseen voice wishes good fortune in battle, as uniformed individuals salute. 2 individuals chat about applying to Baskerville night orders. One lists Doberman, Pitbull, Rottweiler. The other aims for Wolfhound Knights. They discuss each order's objectives: guarding, investigating, protecting, assassinating, suppressing, confrontation. Brown-haired asks short-haired, "Where do you think he'll go?" Bichir Van Baskerville is revealed, sitting on a giant, blood-soaked oxbear. A speaker notes Bichir killed the beast himself, bigger than any they managed. People chatter Bichir is a high-rank sword expert, having reached 3rd Fang, same level as guide dogs. Bichir internally thinks it took longer. Bichir reflects, a medium-rank sword graduate with 5th Fang, far beyond his past life. Yet, after 7 years, his growth feels slower than planned. John Barrymore shows up. Bichir, still on the bloodied oxbear, acknowledges him. Barrymore tells him clan head Hugo is looking for him. His post has been decided. Bichir's eyes glow fierce red as he calmly says, "I understand." Bichir meets Hugo formally, noting it's been a long time. Hugo grunts. Bichir spots a fresh scar on Hugo's nose. Hugo explains from a barbarian archer au mont. Le rouge et le noir. A shadowy female figure congratulates Bichir, mentions scarring that bitch's face. She warns things will get tougher. Bichir reflects his past self was a disposable apprentice knight. He recalls 2 years on Mt. Loup Rouge et Le Noir. Constant danger, treated like a mutt. Baskerville clan divides kids at 15. Elites learn politics, expendables die or serve. Baskerville swordsmanship. 5th Fang is secret knowledge, bridging elites and expendables. Bichir never got past 4th Fang in his past life, implying his status denied access. A chained book hints its guarded nature. A man resembling Hugo says Hugo would allow an illegitimate child the elite course. An unidentified speaker tells Bichir, "I want you to try being a congressman." This is unexpected for an expendable, illegitimate child. Bichir blurts, "A congressman?" 2 men observe. The speaker explains a congressman administers and legislates within Baskerville territories, upholding justice. The role involves business, desk work, and managing all clan affairs. Bichir questions if Hugo truly allows an illegitimate child into such an elite position, unimaginable in his past life. The man with glasses discusses Bichir's achievements, a decade ahead of other geniuses. He offers the Vice-Consul position for Underdog, where both Consul and Vice-Consul spots are open. Hugo asks Bichir to accept. Bichir agrees, but first wants to discuss the Ruby Mine situation involving the Morgue clan. Hugo asks if Bichir refers to his win against Adolf Morgue, reminding him of a promised reward, and if he's claiming it now. Bichir confirms, "I am." This surprises Hugo, who stammers a question about Bichir wanting to borrow something. Bichir humbly says Hugo doesn't need to grant the request if difficult. Hugo stamps a document, says it's not difficult, and trusts Bichir not to do anything ridiculous. Hugo calls Bichir's son, reassuring him. Internally, Bichir seethes, unable to accept Hugo calling him son, despite the granted request being unimaginable in his past life. Bichir walks with John Barrymore, who points out how much the clan head treasures Bichir. Barrymore explains Hugo didn't throw Bichir into battles, but gave him the consul position, showing his value. Bichir plans to use his vice-consul authority to boost skills. Bichir's inner thoughts turn dark. He doesn't care about this work. He still remembers his head being chopped off by the guillotine. Bichir's eyes glow red, face filled with fury. He declares he'll make Hugo loop Baskerville experience. In Baskerville Territory Underdog, an older supervisor orders 2 staff members to scrub spotless. A new vice-consul from the main castle arrives tomorrow, demanding special cleaning. The staff, unhappy with extra work, speculate on their new boss. One hopes for experience, but another reveals the vice-consul is only 15. Their hopes shatter, convinced they're doomed. Before dawn, a staff member spots a young person, demands identity, and grabs their shoulder, warning of unauthorized entry. Bichir turns, eyes glowing red, calmly ordering them to let go. Both staff recognize Bichir as the vice-consul, horrified by his early arrival. Bichir's first order: prepare alcohol and women immediately. Bichir, with briefcase and sword, declares he needs a party. The staff stare stunned, not expecting this from their new 15-year-old boss. A fancy outdoor party with food, drinks, and mingling suggests a large social gathering. Chihuahua Baskerville, Underdog's office manager, looks freaked out. An observer finds it awful a new appointee throws a drinking party on day one, making Chihuahua's situation stomach-churning. Someone is furious. Previous consul fired for bribes. Yet this bastard parties in a sacred workplace. In the middle of chaos, an unknown asks, "Are you the office manager?" The older man jumps, freaked out by Bichir, who suddenly appeared with glowing red eyes. He stammers, Vice-Consul, wondering how Bichir got in. Bichir, calm despite red eyes, introduces himself as the new Vice-Consul. A shaken Chihuahua Baskerville introduces himself. Someone reacts, Chihuahua Baskerville. An unidentified character asks if Chihuahua lacks a middle name. Instructor Pavlov is also there, taken aback, muttering again. After becoming Vice-Consul, Bichir confronts Instructor Pavlov. Lacking a middle name in the clan means being an employee, not blood-related. Pavlov laments mistreatment. Bichir says, "I like that." Pavlov is terrified. But taken aback, Pavlov stammers. Bichir coolly asks if he's from the city. Pavlov confirms. Bichir then says he won't interfere with his work, hoping for continued good effort. Flustered, Pavlov manages a confused wondering Bichir's intent. Bichir, holding a book, ignores him and notes federal law is fine, but the judicial system has weird points. Bichir discusses vice-consul duties with a man with glasses, who's amazed he read everything so fast. Bichir explains Underdog's issue: economy operating above law, not just black markets. They must take out the underground market's core leaders. Bichir's plan: create and enforce new laws. He'll add one that will wipe out the underground market within a week. The man with glasses is floored. Bichir explains he needs a reason for a new law. The man with glasses asks why, given existing illegalities. Bichir clarifies it's because he's young, a newbie, and officially appointed tomorrow. Bichir plans a big performance to manipulate everyone, stating he'll lay out some shit to attract the flies. The man with glasses is bewildered by Bichir's actions, wondering aloud, what in the world is he planning? The next day, a massive, murmuring crowd gathers on Underdog's main street, Dortsmile Street. They await Bichir, formally dressed with staff and sword, standing stoically before a large board since dawn. The crowd discusses the new vice-consul's plans. Bichir addresses the gathering, announcing himself as the new vice-consul. The crowd comments on his youth, some scoffing, "He's so young. What's a brat like that going to do?" Bichir declares existing Baskerville autonomous laws remain, with no changes, mentioning severe punishments like death for human trafficking. The crowd doubts enforcement, suggesting powerful figures might lobby to maintain territory. An older man with a mustache yells about a Baskerville clan member enforcing safety, possibly by drawing a sword. The crowd dismisses Bichir as Chihuahua, doubting his law enforcement ability. Bichir, observing, stops. He grips a stick and raises it. Onlookers are taken aback, muttering "HUH" as he prepares. He brings it down. Bichir, eyes glowing red, slams the tool into the ground. Red energy explodes, shattering earth and sending debris flying. Bystanders watch, shocked. The rod is driven deep into the cracked ground, kicking up dust and rock. Shocked onlookers stare in disbelief at Bichir's raw power. Standing firm beside the embedded rod, Bichir declares his authority. With glowing red eyes, he announces a new, special law. Bichir Special Law, Paragraph 1, Article 1. I will give 100 million gold to anyone who can remove this post. The entire crowd is floored, screaming surprise at the outrageous reward. A massive crowd collectively reacts with surprise, shouting WHAT and 100 million gold. The scale is massive. A desolate, sandy landscape shows a giant pole violently impaled into the ground, earth around it shattered by Bichir just dropped a new special law, offering 100 million gold to whoever could pull out the post. The crowd went wild. 100 million gold just for pulling out a stick? It was 4 years of wages for most people, and they couldn't grasp why the reward was so high. Bichir, completely calm, asked the silent, bewildered crowd if no one would take the money. Seeing no takers, Bichir stared at the pole and declared he had no choice but to move to his next step. The law immediately updated. The reward for pulling out the post was now a mind-boggling 1 billion gold. Bichir just upped it tenfold. Even with 1 billion gold on the table, the crowd just stared. Bichir let out an incredulous laugh, thinking it was ridiculous that even that wasn't enough to get someone to try. The calm, red-eyed Vice-Consul Bichir watched as angry people yelled, calling the whole situation a ridiculous prank and accusing someone of making fun of them. Some people were even embarrassed, wondering why they felt awkward with 1 billion gold being thrown around, emphasizing it was a serious amount of money. Bichir again asked if no one would come forward, then dropped another bombshell. The reward was now a whopping 10 billion gold. Elsewhere, the man with glasses saw the 10 billion reward and was totally confused why no one was trying to pull the post out. That's because the crowd was terrified they'd be executed on the spot by the person with the sword if they failed. People speculated about the post's weight or a hidden motive, while Bichir observed. The man with glasses glanced at Bichir, surprised by his unwavering resolve. Suddenly, a young flower-selling girl, Judy, raised her hand, asking to try. An old man immediately scolded her for barging into a dangerous situation. Unfazed, Judy explained her mom was sick and she had to do something. Someone warned she could get stabbed, but Judy just smiled, asked them to care for her mom if she died, leaving the old man speechless. As Judy approached, she wondered if he'd actually kill her, hoping for at least a few coins. A nearby man reacted with surprise to her thoughts. The man in the suit told her to pull it out. Judy grasped the thick wooden pole, gritting her teeth and straining with all her might. The ground cracked further, and with a final surge, she pulled the pole clean out. Onlookers were absolutely stunned. Everyone was completely shocked. Judy herself looked wide-eyed and sweaty, asking, It was so easy to pull out? Someone reacted with surprise to the red-eyed young man holding a weapon. A young child exclaimed in distress that they were going to be executed. A character expressed deep distress about the impending execution, questioning why and apologizing to their mother. A young man offered the distressed blonde-haired girl a pouch containing 100 million gold. The girl seemed distressed and asked a question as the shocked crowd watched. The young man then offered to deliver the full 10 billion gold and provide guards, causing more surprise. As he patted her head, the man in the suit declared this is what law is like. It must be kept. A dark-haired man gripped someone's shoulder while a white-haired person looked utterly flabbergasted. The entire crowd was wide-eyed and shocked, with an old man's mouth agape in disbelief. Then, a massive bag overflowing with sparkling gold coins was revealed. Word spread fast. The Bichir Special Law was more popular than the old Baskerville clan law. Citizens praised Bichir for always keeping his word, saying his law actually worked, punishing lawbreakers and rewarding those who followed the rules, making the city a place of principles. This new approach had a huge impact. Illegal acts were way down, and the crime rate halved. Even Hugo Le Baskerville noticed, complimenting Office Manager Chihuahua's impressive writing about belief in moving trees, a concept that politicians earn trust by keeping promises. Chihuahua was practically in tears, declaring Bichir's performance touched him deeply and pledging loyalty for life. Bichir calmly acknowledged his goal was to attract attention and make a strong impression. Chihuahua continued to gush, but Bichir, ever the strategist, quietly thought of Camus Morgue, who achieved a near-zero crime rate, but was hated for her fear-based tactics. The immediate problem was the 10 billion gold reward. Bichir marked places on a map, stating his plan to fix the financial hole by cracking down on illegal organizations and confiscating their black money directly. Chihuahua was stunned, asking how Bichir knew all the hiding spots. Bichir claimed he could smell it, but internally revealed he knew these exact areas from when he patrolled and cracked down on them before he regressed. Chihuahua was bewildered by Bichir's preparedness. A subordinate then rushed in, announcing an interview request from the Teenage Self-Government Committee. Elsewhere, the man with glasses exclaimed as expected. A group of local nobles, whom someone called people who only break wind in the community, were demanding a meeting. The man with glasses explained they were second and third generation indigenous families, forming the Teenage Self-Government Committee. He clarified their committee was just a social club, but now these young masters had something to say about Bichir's new special law. Bichir got a smug look, asking if the flies have started smelling the dung, which completely took aback the man with glasses and the other attendant. Bichir smiled wide, declaring it was time to seriously eradicate the pest. Chapter 19 opens in a VVIP room at an exclusive underdog city club, a gathering place for the elite. As expensive liquor flows into the top glass, an elaborate tower of drinks begins to rise. A commanding voice urges, "Make a tower. Bring everything you have." Young nobles from Baskerville's Seven Clans party. A blonde shows off a pyramid of Don Quixote Perignon 666, each bottle worth 100 million gold. Bichir tells subordinates to drink spilled wine, boasting his endless money. A dark-haired man credits Baskervilles for their luxury and the booming slave trade. The men are thrilled about easily capturing barbarian slaves. They note Baskervilles are too busy expanding borders, making the territory an imperial free playground. One calls them hunting dogs. A blonde reveals they framed the Mesamadrano clan, causing Baskervilles to slaughter their loyal clan, calling the Baskervilles sword-obsessed morons. They discuss how one clan was eliminated, leaving 7. They mention the new Vice-Consul, an illegitimate Van, and one has requested an audience. The blonde names the new guy, Bichir, 15, who threw a huge party. They plan to tease him to assert dominance. Their plan: invite Bichir to a party, then stick him with the bill, believing a 15-year-old wouldn't dare report it. They'd eventually pay, calling it a joke, but aim to make him submissive. An attendant announces girls arrived, but one man complains about a woman dampening the mood and orders her out. In the middle of this, a man calls out, "Hey you, come sit over here this time," surprising a reddish-brown-haired man. A mysterious man in dark glasses appears. A plotter asks, "Who's this?" "An escort." The attendant asks if he's known, but a sir denies it. John Barrymore grabs Bichir's hair, calling him a brat and angrily questioning his presence. A red glowing eye and guttural sound appear, stunning several people. Someone screams as Bichir's eyes glow red. He introduces himself, Bichir Van Baskerville. People are surprised by the Vice-Consul. Bichir reminds them they called him, despite nobles laughing. The men suggest Bichir pay for booze. Bichir cuts them off, slamming his hand down and demanding an end to their chatter. Bichir's hand glows with intense red energy and sparks. Everyone reacts with shock. Bichir starts cleaning the city. A huge pyramid of red items, bubbling with liquid, cracks, snaps, and collapses. Red liquid and glass explode everywhere. 2 men look up shocked as debris rains down, covered in red droplets. 3 others are stunned, mouths agape. The blonde, splattered, screams in disbelief, asking if mana resonance shattered the champagne tower just by touching the table. They realize he must be a graduate. Bichir stands, hand pressed down, red eyes glowing, surrounded by a powerful red aura. Blood-covered, the blonde shouts at the dark-haired man for calling their opponent a brat, demanding the mid-rank expert act. Terrified, the dark-haired man admits he wouldn't last a second. Another tries to explain they'd pay. Bichir, red-eyed, confronts Teenage Self-Government Committee members about paying for alcohol at his party. A scared man accidentally reveals they were testing him as the new Vice-Consul. Bichir dismisses their excuses, explaining Underdog City declined, and he was testing them for resisting temptation. 2 pledge allegiance. but Bichir states a master tests his dog as he wants. The Vice-Consul brutally punches the committee member with horn-like protrusions, demonstrating a master does what he wants. Bichir grips deep into the injured member's bleeding torso, making it clear a dog is absolutely not allowed to test the master. He enforces the law with force. Looking at the remaining committee members, Bichir, eyes still red, shouts their money and power give them no fear only because they've never seen true terror. Dark, wispy energy surrounds Bichir. Onlookers are shocked, witnessing this intense display. Chaos. Someone is beaten, bleeding, crying out. Bichir observes, faint energy swirling. A voice asks, "Do you know why he ended up like this?" A foot stomps hard on the bleeding man's head. A voice declares, "If you don't, you deserve the same fate." The terrified blonde shouts, "I do. I think I know why." "That's wrong too." Stomping continues. A voice retorts, "Know why? Is that so? If you do, then you need a good beating." Pure intimidation. No right answer unless given. Bichir, red-eyed and furious, clenches his fist. Angry men confront him. An overturned table, spilled liquid, and shattered glass create a mess. Bichir confronts an accused man. "See? You don't know." He lists the real reasons: kidnapping, illegal slave trafficking, contempt against the Baskerville clan. "You've committed many dirty deeds." The accused men are terrified. The man is violently struck, bleeding and crying. Bichir, "You can't tame an animal without teaching it a lesson." Bichir, red-eyed and spattered with a red aura, declares, "It's time to punish filthy animals." And UGH is heard, two people glimpsed. Someone threatens Bichir, yelling Fader. The blonde noble from the Teenage Self-Government Committee is livid, screaming death threats. The blonde noble screams. An older man is shocked by the mess, asking if they went overboard. The older man can't believe the younger made meat pancakes, saying he hasn't even started. The man with glasses is taken aback. Bichir explains leaders prevent corruption, improve life, contrasting reality. Bichir explains corrupt leaders try to take Baskerville power. He tells the injured blonde noble in his cell they learn nothing. The blonde noble's eyes pop out. An unseen speaker declares execution for all at sunset, wiping out everyone connected. The man with glasses is shocked, asking Bichir if he's serious. Bichir confirms. Some committee members whimper, "I'm sorry." Blonde and dark-haired nobles beg for their lives, promising everything if Bichir spares them. Clans watch, wondering if they'll stand by. The man with glasses warns Bichir. This group, though cowardly, is bold when cornered. They won't support him and will seek revenge. Bichir, noble clans can't complain. Imprisoned members are tied to underdog city criminals. Man with glasses asks for evidence. Bichir, "I have ways, or I can make it up," not caring his calamity is coming. The man with glasses, now revealed with blazing red eyes, prepares to confront the corrupt nobles directly, his gaze filled with fierce resolve. He asserts his intent to expose their true nature, leaving no room for denial. The blonde noble, bloody and jailed, denies everything. "I never did any of that. If there's evidence, I'll accept the punishment." Red-eyed man with glasses stares him down, saying he sounds guilty. Bichir observes a noble more concerned with clan reputation than his life. Surprised, man with glasses greets Bichir as Vice-Consul, asking why he's here. A wounded bald man presents a bloody knife, announcing to Bichir and man with glasses he's finished their commission. A man in suits says, "Good job." They commissioned chilling torture devices. Bichir shows them to a scarred torturer, astonished despite 30 years. Bichir shrugs. They were common where he was. Torturer asks, "Hell, sir?" Bichir smiles, something like that, offering tricks. Torturer declines, grimacing he might throw up. Unfazed, Bichir reminisces effective devices. Even demon prisoners spilled military secrets during era of ruination. Bichir watches bloodstained torture tools, knives, pliers, an axe. Hugo explains techniques evolved from demons, then states then. A bloodied man gasps through cell bars. The man in the vest asks, "What happened to that resolve you had about never talking?" He's breaking, with distressed people visible. Before the bloodied man speaks, Bichir appears, terrifying. Red eyes glow, a sinister smile, commanding, "Please don't say a thing." Rumors fly. A crying person weeps, another thinks, I want to take my time reliving nostalgic memories. The rumor spreads. 7 trash living in luxury and crime were arrested together. Underdog city buzzes. Aren't those guys who treated us like bugs? One figures Vice-Consul will release them after humiliation. Another, crime's warrant execution, questioning if he'd go that far with native clan kids. Dark-haired man snaps, serious? Vice-Consul spent $10 billion on that post. Most don't think he'll execute rich kids. Massive blowback feared. After Bichir's committee ballistic, underdog city watched. Most figured powerful clans would cave to Vice-Consul, ending struggle in a flash. They were right. All big names, Mablinkel, Pyre, Lub, Chanel, Faragamu, Hermes, Prada clan, sent token apology. Briefcase of gold horse emblems, showing powerhouses gave in. Consensus. Committee members freed and scathed, getting stern scolding from clan fathers. Hugo's eldest son talks to man with glasses, as if all will smooth over. But everyone was wrong. 7 heads displayed in City Square. A blonde person with dark-stained clothes sets a grim mood. Worse, heads picked in salt, frozen with twisted agony. A shocked crowd gathers around horrific display, with a banner above. The banner reveals non-random executions, detailing harsh Baskerville autonomy laws and crimes. Adult entertainment earns pervert face tattoo. Gambling, hands chopped, 72 amputations. Money lending, eyeballs extracted. Lobbying, body exiled headless. Crowd reacts in horror. Bichir, crackdown isn't just applying laws. Going after famous native nobles as criminals will shake things up, bringing real change. Commoners react with shock and fear. Hugo, grim, talks of war declaration leading to opposing side scheming. He warns of brutal attrition in Underdog City, predicting bloodbath until one side is wiped out. Bichir tells manager Chihuahua to brace for the next operation. Chihuahua están silent. Stand. Man with glasses reacts in shock, pointing at self-me. Someone asks Vice-Consul if this is the plan. Man with glasses, in a purple eye mask, is present. An individual asks Chihuahua if he trusts them. Chihuahua denies it, calls them sir, but has a hesitant thought. Man with glasses, in his eye mask, reacts with a sweat drop of concern. Man with glasses thinks, is this really a good idea? He watches people gather around a fire, carrying a big, covered object. Caption references Bichir Van Baskerville as Vice-Consul, hinting tense situation. Next, unsettling scene. Woman with mask and pink dress holds whip, tied-up man gag behind her. In front of giant circus tent at evening, creating dramatic theatrical vibe. Scene zooms out. Crowd gathered outdoors, fires tense. Chained female and male figures displayed. Masked man in purple suit watches with young boy, like a show. Close-up on chained person, long, dark hair, red eyes, shirtless, chained at wrists, feet. Thought bubble, selling himself OFF a slave, indicating public display of individual